Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. Dr. Sarah Chen's heart began racing as she stared at the monitors in Houston's Mission Control Center. The latest images from the Phoenix rover on Mars had revealed something they had never seen before. A perfectly straight line stretched across the red planet's surface, looking vastly different from natural formations. "What is this?" Sarah whispered, pointing her finger at the anomaly appearing on the screen. Engineer Mark Rodriguez beside her shook his head. "I don't know, but it's definitely not a geological formation. It can't be this straight." The Phoenix rover was equipped with special radar systems capable of penetrating beneath the surface. Data from the radar showed a long, empty space underground. It was as if a giant tunnel ran through the interior of Mars. News reaching NASA management took only a few hours. Senior officials held emergency meetings and were extremely cautious about sharing this information with the press. Meanwhile, one of the most famous names in space research, Elon Musk, shared a cryptic message from his own Twitter account. "Mars is much more interesting than we thought." Musk's tweet caused speculative theories to explode. The hashtag MarsMitery hashtag became trending on social media. Scientists, space enthusiasts, and conspiracy theorists began debating the meaning of this discovery. Work continued day and night at Mission Control Center. The decision was made to move Phoenix closer to the mysterious corridor. The rover slowly advanced toward the target, collecting new data with each step. When the corridor entrance was found, everyone on the team held their breath. "Let's send Phoenix inside," Dr. Chen said with a determined voice. When the Phoenix rover reached the mouth of the corridor, its cameras showed a completely dark void. The AI-assisted navigation system kicked in, and the rover began slowly moving inside. The first few meters went normally, but then something unexpected happened. The signals from the rover suddenly cut off. "Connection lost," Mark shouted in panic, frantically pressing keys. "We're not receiving any signals from Phoenix." Hours passed. The team tried every communication method but couldn't get any word from the rover. NASA's press spokesperson announced a temporary technical malfunction was experienced, but the real situation was much more complex. On the third day morning, when hopes were nearly exhausted, a weak signal was caught from Phoenix. The rover's camera was working, but the images weren't what anyone expected. The screen showed black, extremely smooth walls. It was as if the rover was inside an artificial structure. "This is impossible," Sarah murmured. "There can't be such a thing on Mars." The images were analyzed in detail. The walls were so smooth that it seemed impossible for them to have formed through natural processes. NASA management prohibited sharing these images with the public. Dr. Chen's team worked through the night. The rover's thermal cameras revealed even more shocking data. There were symmetrical patterns on the tunnel walls. These patterns weren't just regular. They also formed complex geometric shapes. Geologist Dr. Patricia Williams shook her head while examining the data. "These aren't lava tube traces. These patterns, it's like they were made intentionally." Elon Musk spoke again on Twitter. "What we know about the universe might just be the tip of the iceberg." This statement led to new speculations in the media. The team at Mission Control continued to move Phoenix through the depths of the tunnel. As the robot advanced kilometers, the structure's size became clearer. This wasn't just a small tunnel. It was a giant corridor system extending under Mars. SpaceX engineers suggested that this discovery could be a huge opportunity for Mars colonization. The tunnels could protect future Mars settlers from radiation and provide ready-made infrastructure. But who made this place? Was the question on everyone's mind. As Phoenix moved deeper, the rover's sound detection systems caught a weak signal 5 days later. This signal repeated at regular intervals and didn't resemble the frequency of any natural source known on Earth. Dr. Chen gathered her team to analyze this signal. "This looks like an artificial signal," she said with a worried tone. The signal was subjected to NASA's most advanced decryption systems, but no meaning could be derived. The frequency pattern was extremely complex and seemed to contain a message. Elon Musk, while answering journalists' questions in a live interview, said, "The data we're getting from Phoenix is quite strange," carefully choosing his words. This statement rocked social media. The hashtag MarsMessage hashtag became trending worldwide. People began wondering whether traces of a civilization had been found on Mars. NASA management had to intervene in the crisis. The official statement was that Phoenix continued to collect geological samples and found interesting mineralogical formations. However, the real data remained classified. Dr. Chun and her team worked through the nights trying to map the tunnel. With the data Phoenix collected, it was understood that there was a city-sized structure under Mars. Corridors connected to each other, forming giant halls. 2 weeks later, the most shocking discovery came. When Phoenix's lights illuminated a large opening, the robot found itself under an artificial dome. The dome's walls had a metallic shine and complex patterns were on them. "This is definitely not natural," Sarah whispered, looking at the image on the monitor with amazement. Elon Musk said in his latest statement, "Phoenix's discoveries will enable us to develop new theories about Mars' geological past, using diplomatic language." However, according to insider information, intensive meetings were being held between NASA and SpaceX about how to evaluate this discovery. The possibility that traces of an advanced civilization had been found on Mars could question humanity's place in the universe. The latest data from Phoenix showed that the air inside the dome had a composition similar to Earth's atmosphere. The robot took atmospheric samples and sent them to Earth for detailed analysis. "It's like they were waiting for us," Dr. Chin murmured while looking at the data. The mysterious signal from the tunnel depths continued to strengthen. NASA's cryptography experts discovered there were mathematical patterns in the signal. This was strong evidence that the signal wasn't completely random. Elon Musk's latest post was the most mysterious. Sometimes answers give birth to bigger questions than the original questions. Tension at Mission Control Center was at its peak. NASA's senior officials from Washington were constantly calling to ask about the situation. The president's science advisors were holding emergency meetings, discussing how to announce this discovery to the public. Dr. Chun held her breath while examining the new images from Phoenix. Light systems that slowly glowed began to appear on the dome walls. It was as if the robot's presence had reactivated these ancient systems. "Sarah, you need to look at this," Mark said, showing the sound vibration analyses. "There are very low-frequency vibrations near Phoenix. It's like machines are running." At the same time, other NASA vehicles on Mars also began reporting abnormal activities. The Curiosity rover detected slow geological changes in an area close to where Phoenix was located. When they re-examined Opportunity's old data, it was understood that similar anomalies had been ignored for years. SpaceX company engineers also began conducting their own analyses. Elon Musk's special team was calculating the tunnel's potential uses based on the limited data NASA shared. However, their calculations weren't limited to colonization only. These structures might still be active, SpaceX's chief engineer Diana Torres said in a meeting. "If you understand how these systems work, we won't have any problems with life support on Mars." Meanwhile, the audio recordings from Phoenix became even more complex. NASA's audio analysis expert Dr. Kevin Park discovered that the signals followed certain patterns. "This isn't just random noise," he explained to the team. "There's some kind of communication protocol here." While attempts were made to decode the signals, Phoenix's sensors detected unexpected chemical compounds in the dome's atmosphere. These compounds were rare elements that were only produced in advanced technology laboratories on Earth. Dr. Williams made a surprising discovery while examining geological data. "These structures are at least 10 million years old," she said with a trembling voice. But the materials used weren't even available on Earth at that time. Discussions were heating up in meetings in Washington. Representatives from the Pentagon emphasized the importance of this discovery from a national security perspective. The CIA's Space Division began investigating what other countries' Mars programs knew about this matter. Elon Musk organized a special press conference following these developments. "The discoveries Phoenix made on Mars are revolutionary not only scientifically but also technologically," he said, carefully choosing his words. "The structures we found under Mars could fundamentally change future generations' space colonization plans." When journalists asked Elon Musk about the origin of the signals, he replied, "It's still early, but it's certain that Mars' past is much more complex than we thought." Following these statements, expert committees were established worldwide. Astrobiology experts, engineers, cryptography specialists, and even anthropologists came together to begin evaluating Phoenix's data. Dr. Chin's team continued working without break. When they moved Phoenix through different sections of the dome, they discovered new rooms. Some of these rooms had complex machine systems. The machines clearly appeared functional. The biggest surprise came when Phoenix reached the main hall. There was a massive control panel here, and the symbols on the panel began slowly blinking. Dr. Chun murmured, "It's like it recognizes us." Elon Musk announced this development on Twitter with these words, "Our first contact with Mars might be technological. Science fiction is becoming real." This tweet was shared millions of times worldwide. The hashtag Mars Technology hashtag remained at the top of trending lists for days. Space enthusiasts, scientists, and even Hollywood directors discussed the meaning of this discovery. As Phoenix's discoveries in the main hall continued, the systems operating near the robot became even more active. Energy readings were constantly increasing. Dr. Park said with a worried tone, "It's like the entire facility is starting to work again." NASA management began worrying about Phoenix's safety. There was a possibility that the robot could be damaged by these active systems. However, Dr. Chun and her team argued that retreating would be a huge loss scientifically. "This opportunity might not come again," Sarah said in a high-level meeting. Phoenix is currently in the middle of the most important discovery made throughout human history. We can't retreat. Elon Musk also supported NASA. SpaceX company urgently allocated resources for Phoenix's enhanced communication systems and protection equipment. With the control panel becoming fully active, changes also began in other parts of the tunnel. Thermal images Phoenix sent showed that energy flow had restarted throughout the entire structure. Most surprisingly, the symbols on the panel showed resemblance to symbols of ancient civilizations on Earth. Archaeologist Dr. Lisa Anderson said in shock, "These symbols remind us of symbols we see in Sumerian, Egyptian, and Aztec civilizations." This discovery led to the birth of new conspiracy theories. Some researchers began suggesting there might have been a connection between Earth and Mars in ancient times. Phoenix's final discovery amazed everyone. In the control panel's center large screen, Earth's image slowly began appearing. It was as if this system was watching Earth. Dr. Chun gathered her team to evaluate the latest situation. "Now we must admit that what we found on Mars isn't just remains of an old civilization. These systems are still active and might be watching us." Elon Musk's latest statement shook the entire world. Phoenix's discoveries show that we need to redefine our place in the universe. What we found on Mars will shape humanity's future. The Phoenix rover still continues its discoveries in this mysterious facility in Mars' depths. New rooms, new technologies, and new secrets emerge every passing day. And Dr. Chen's team understands they're face-to-face with humanity's greatest discovery in the universe. The screens on the control panel are now constantly active. They seem to be looking from Mars to Earth. And everyone is asking the same question. Who are they and what do they want?